G'day guys, going to try something a little bit different this week and go through a few of the fixed odds markets early for Saturday, looking for a bit of early value hopefully. I can't find too much in the major races, pretty well exposed form there and looks like most horses will go there, but there might be a little bit in races like the Carbine and Widden Stakes, so I'll have a quick look at the Adrian Knox and then maybe the Oaks market and Percy Sykes next week as well, with these sort of lead up races going into them. I'll start off with the TJ, sorry, I'll start off with the Sires, which is the kind of market there. I don't want to go too deeply into this, I'll probably just talk more about theories. You've got Chauffeur Minari, Diamond Tathiga, Veronillo, Trapeze Artist, Single Bullet, Frolic, Tulip, all coming out of this Gold Slipper. My issue with these runners is that they're all, a lot of them, they're all coming off at least one heavy track run, which was the last time, which was, arguably worse than a 10, and now trying to back up 1400 metres 2 weeks later. I've got an issue with Frolic being favourite. It's coming out of races where it's been flattered in 5 occasions for mine, or 4 occasions. And again, Golden Slipper was another one of those, dragged back to last. Really good ride up the inside where I think it was the place to be. Fast pace again, they've walked late, and she's got home up that part. She obviously handles wet ground and going really well, but this is going to be her third run in 6 weeks, off the back of a really heavy track run at Randwick, followed by another really heavy track run at Rose Hill. She's got to be coming to the end of it. She's a dead set iron horse. You can see there she's not really charging through the line. She's just one batting, and she's done a good job, don't get me wrong. She's done a huge job this preparation. But she's the favourite and whatnot. I'm pretty keen to bet around. I thought Tulip and Minari with the two out of the slipper, but Minari just never looked to handle the ground. You can see he looks tired and getting to the middle of the track. He probably should have run second here, but and Tulip should have fought out second. But they've sort of ended up off the track, and his preparation just really worries me. I'm not sure how much horse they're going to have left, and that's the same case with Frolic and Tulips. Probably Tulips is on the back up here, and it's pretty hard for her to bounce through a run like this, I would imagine. Interesting with Trapeze Artist and Chauffeur. Chauffeur's probably the one for me that comes in here with a little bit fresher legs. Obviously was a little bit underdone going into the Canberra race, threw the blinkers on here, and he sort of came into it nicely before he knocked up late for mine, having to come widest and in possibly the worst part of the track. He sort of gets past all these other horses and he's closing in on Trapeze Artist until he really knocks up late. He's come on from this run. He's going to improve. I know he's drawn poorly on Saturday again. Very draw coming out this morning, but still interested in him over most of these runners. So looking around the two favourites in Frolic and Tulip, you've got the Gunnison form line with Invader. Invader obviously had the issue before last start. Gunnison's been back to the trials. For me, he's the one I want to be finding. I thought his run was better, even though he obviously beat him last start. Invader, his run was the better of the two. Did all the work, got to bullocked out to the middle and ran well. He's had a little quiet trial since the blowout. Any cobwebs he had, I like his lead up. I am worried about Invader's setback, and I probably want to bet around it. Summer Passage comes over from New Zealand, and it didn't look that impressive to the eye, but probably not a bad little setup coming to this kind of race. And then it's a bit wide from that. I'm not knocking a blowout here. I really think it's really tough to find anything to be too confident about. I'm betting around Frolic and Tulip, that's for sure. Minari, it's a horse I don't want to bet around because I've got such a big opinion of him, but $8 is probably around the right price for him. Show for $15, you probably get better come race time from that draw. And Diamond Tathiga ran well in the slipper. Trapeze Artist ran well enough. there's a lot of horses here that have got the ability to be in the finish, and I'm very scared of this race. And I've probably spent enough time on it, to be honest. Race 7, the Derby, and everything's pretty well exposed here. I am cautious of one horse in particular, and that's John Snow. I thought he found a race that really set up for him well last Saturday. Heavy track, 7-day backup now, into a deeper race. I think $6 as well under the odds there. I think he had his chance over in the New Zealand Derby, and he was comfortably beaten by Ginger Nuts. I really think that race is a much better lead up and that a much better setup. The only horse that I could probably see improving out of that last week's race is Prized Icon. If he found a firmer track, but he'd probably want a 4, 5, 6 at worst to be improving enough to win possibly, but he's definitely an improver. I thought it's worth looking at that previous lead-up race here, where they kind of came from. It was obviously a fast tempo here, and they really slogged to the line. So the closer you were to the pace is interesting. That the more merit you had in your run. So horses like Prized Icon, obviously well beaten. Sosibon's outside Prized Icon. He's the closest to the lead that finishes the closest to the finish. Harper's Choice has done a good job rolling along out in front. He's a definite knockout chance in the Derby this week for mine. What I'm trying to get at is I don't think it's a closed off race. We'll see that Anaheim's back last year. Ginger Nuts is just starting to take off. Inference kind of misses the boat a little bit inside here, and Sosibon's the one that has to drag them all up into it. The other horse that's there somewhere is Impervito, and he sort of lost his spot there and got a little bit out sprinted. He gets the blinkers this week, and they're hoping that'll just change that. So if he had sort of stuck with Ginger Nuts for that sprint, he would have been a lot closer in the finish too. So I'm saying that Harper's Choice is definitely a knockout chance. Ginger Nuts definitely a winning chance. Sosibon a winning chance. Anaheim a winning chance. Impervito a winning chance. And Inference a winning chance. I don't think it's a shutdown Derby. I'd be inclined to sort of be wanting to take the $8 Anaheim, $15 Impervito. You might get a little bit better Sosibon. I think it's around $12. And even Harper's Choice might get out to crazy odds. If he gets out to 30 or 40 to 1, I could spec it too. He was right there till the 150 metre mark. So I don't think the extra trip's going to worry him. He's had as tough a run as there as anyone, and you can see that he's definitely not weak on the line. And he's going around at sort of 6 times the odds of the horse that's running down there, or even more come race time. So Ginger Nuts has definitely got all the attributes you want. He's definitely going to run the trip. Definitely handles all going, so it's hard to knock him. It's hard to knock Inference, Sosibon, and I think these two have got enough improvement in them to get up near the finish, and definitely I don't think 2,500 metres is going to worry either of them. So the first 6 a lot across the line there are definitely top 6 for mine in the Derby, with Prized Icon the only one that I could probably see improving enough to worry those runners. TJ Smith, and I'm not going to even bother going through any replays here. I think Stack was probably the one I want to bet around. He's coming back in trip off a tough run after going up in distance off a tough run, and now he's got to drop back. He's got a wide gate. He's going to give them all a huge start, and these horses are definitely no slouches. Malaguer, Fell Swoop, if he finds a better track. He travelled really well the other day before he floundered, I thought. Speed's obviously a player. Voodoo Lad's a definite player. Tavachi's should have nearly won the Newmarket last start, and it's probably the value here at around the $16 mark. Then sort of English is another one I probably want to bet around. Stern's a huge query horse, and I think the betting will tell a strong tale with him. Russian Revolution had plenty of merit in his run. First up, was back like he was unbeatable and got the job done for them. So, looking at this early, I definitely want to find Malaguera. Speed could be thereabouts. Voodoo Lad, Tavachi definitely. And then Russian Revolution with the big queries, a Stern in the race. He's the one who's got all the untapped ability in the world. He's just had a few trials over a long space, hasn't had a run. Obviously, not everything's gone ideally, and he shows up here for the first time in his preparation. So a really tough race, but a really good race to watch, and probably not, one that I'm going to get too heavily involved in betting wise. A peanut on maybe Malaguera and Tavachi at bigger prices to have something going around for me. The Doncaster is another really interesting race. I wasn't finding too much value here. I did think, Haraki's probably found his price around the $10 mark. Laramane as well. There's no real value there. Palantino's coming off a really strong win last start, and $13 okay. Similar with Toes and Stardom. I thought that was around his price. Happy Clap is the interesting one for mine. I want to go through its form in a second. It's probably the only one I do want to go through. Redkirk Warrior won the Newmarket fresh. Now goes 12 to 1600 at Randwick. Obviously has performed over, further than this previously, but very difficult to, want to dive into him having that leap, especially like getting a quarter of the price you were first up in a race that looked more suitable than this second up. So Creary's honest. Again, no value in the $9. Endless Drama's very hard to line up. It looked the real Doncaster chance until it sort of didn't do a lot last start. $17 again, probably its price. I'm a Star similar, was handed the race the other day. Could be a bit of value in Haydock's price. I think probably the improving track would suit him, and I'd probably have him similarly priced to, McCreary and these runners, about an $8 or $9 chance. Tonio Giuseppe again, probably around his price. A bit worried that he's been hanging this preparation. There might be an underlying issue there, but that's here nor there. He'll run the trip out, and he's going well enough to be in the finish. Spectroscope's definitely found his price. I'd probably have him about double that, and that's about it. So it's an open race, but I definitely do want to have a look at Happy Clapper's lead up form here. So he's had the two runs back. Leading into this, ideal 2 1400 metre runs. See first up. They ran pretty good time here, and he had the blinkers on, and apparently he's crossed his legs in the gates and really missed it poorly. This is him out the back. It wasn't a day where you could really run on wide, and you see he sort of gets pulling early with the blinkers on and being back there. You can still see that he's over racing. Shin's forced really wide really early. You can see now he's already taken off, so it was a hard day to do what he's done here. He's come really wide. And what I love about him is just this last sort of 150 metres where he's just going 2 to everything's 1 in the race. And he's obviously the class runner in the race, but he's just super strong through the line. He went to Newcastle last start in a Group 3. Jumped a little better. Obviously was worked upon to get up into a position, but he just had so much class on him. You can see he's still not racing completely generously. He's been bustled early, so they've used him up. Gets to the middle of the track, and these horses are not far from legless. He's carried top weight here and really put them right away, and under no pressure he's still extending. For me, he looks like he's in career best form, and $11 with a very attractive weight on Saturday looks the clear value for me in the race. Then you sort of Haydock, Palantino, Toes and Stardom I thought were probably next best, as in when it comes to value, and the rest are all pretty well priced. It's a very open race, but Happy Clapper for mine each way looks the only bet I could definitely entertain early. Next race I wanted to have a look at, the Country Championships is a similar. I'll get the market up for it. It's obviously a tab market, the better price around. Just going through the main chances. Perfect Dare's coming off a really good win, but it was quite some time ago. It was an incredibly strong win, and what's difficult to line up for me here is if you're sort of going through this horse's form. It's raced in city grade for most of its career. It was taken back to the Gold Coast and beaten a Nostril in a $1 million race before it dropped back to Grafton, where it raced from the inside here. takes the lead early before there's some pressure applied. Basically over races throughout. You can see it really racing ungenerously here. Only because he wants to go faster. Gets to the middle. Never been a horse with blinding acceleration, but he definitely has gears and really finds the line strongly. The issue for me, quite clearly, is the six weeks between runs and staying at 1400 metres. Has had a 1000 metre barrier trial to tune up at the Gold Coast. Definite player, can't knock his chances, but not interested in at the price. Pumpkin Pie was a very similar story. A horse that's raced in Group 2 company its last 2 starts, beaten 4.5 by Fox Plays Analicious. It just has to be good form for a race of this nature. Had no favours this day and just really battles away strongly to run 4th, beating home some other group performed horses. So even though that was 3-year-old grade, now drops back to restricted country grade and has to be a player. Careless Choice after all that. Galaxy Warrior, Pellerin, all coming out of a similar sort of area. Galaxy Warrior comes from a little bit wider, but he's a horse that has city form, has mile form, has wet form, and definitely ticks a lot of boxes. Definitely one that I really can entertain and probably is the value runner at around the $15 mark. Pellerin, after all that backing up, are going to be hard fit and probably need a wet track to be in the finish. And Careless Choice has just had those glue-on shoes, and if it's overcome that problem, even though it did win first up, it can be right in the finish. It's definitely got the quality of the first 2 for mine, potentially. So I think there's 5 horses that can win. Perfect Dare, Pumpkin Pie, Careless Choice. After all that, Galaxy Warrior and Pellerin's probably the next best. It's a good race. There will be some value there, but it's probably a race that I want to wait and see. I'm not sure where it'll be positioned in the day, but if we get a chance to see, what track conditions, what sort of weather and what sort of pattern there is before I get too involved in that race. The Adrian Knox is the next race I want to have a quick look at. James Cummings holds a really strong hand here with Mullover and High Impulse, and the other horse that I'm really keen to get a look at is Le Chap. It's a horse I've got time for and a horse that I've backed to win the Oaks, so it obviously has to run well here for me to have any hope. Have a quick look at the 3 of them. Mullover was just narrowly beaten Scone the start before when nothing really went right, and it was just a bit of a funny ride and nothing really happened. What I like about her effort here is she jumps awkwardly, gets up on the bit of touch and charges up towards the leader. So she's done a bit of work there even though they didn't want to, then been forcibly restrained off, and then picks the bit up again and charges past them and charges away for a good win. Definitely looks a horse that's not going to be worried about further ground. Rises from a mile to 2,000 metres. 4th run in. He's all in a first prep, which is a little query, but other than that, ticking a lot of boxes and a horse that looks well and truly on the up. Stablemate High Impulse. He's off a little different preparation. She already had the 3 runs, got out to 1,800 metres and had the blinkers applied. Sat the fence here. Gets to the middle. And there's plenty of merit in this last section here where she puts them away off a slow tempo. And another one that looks like a horse that's, not, even though she does accelerate away from these horses in weaker grade, she doesn't look like she's got blinding acceleration, but she definitely looks like she works through her gears, which is a good sign getting up to the 2,000 metres here. And it's just, minimal pressure put on her, so really hard to knock her going forward. And she's had a trial, considering she's going to be 3.5 weeks or something similar. between runs, so it's good to see that she went back for a little clean out trial. 2,000 metres looks fine for her on Saturday. And the last horse I'm liking is Le Chat. Basically just restrained out of the race here early. It's her in the Godolphin colours, drawn wide. She's forcibly taken out of the race early and let to settle. Ends up, just way too far back on a day that it was hard to come wide. That was the key to this run. There was a solid tempo here, which does assist her slightly, but it's definitely a day that it was difficult to come down this part of the track. And I just like the way she's really lengthened there late, and then throttled down, if anything, late when she was making a lot of ground. So up to 2,000 metres, she's my wild card, and the one I've backed to win the Oaks as well. Just touching on the other ones in this race here, I think Base is hard in the betting. Going back to the betting there, Base is hard in the betting. I thought she had every favour the other day. Well ridden, cut the ground. There was fast tempo on. The time was okay, but definitely had plenty in her favour there. And now steps up in distance, up in grade, and probably one that I'm looking to bet around at the price. Perfect Rhyme sat outside the leader for a solid win at Hawkesbury 2 starts back, then went to the Kembla Grange race behind Louboutin and Dawn Wall, where that form might be just a little bit dodgy, and she had a chance and was sort of a battling fifth. So I'm going with the horses on the up in Mullover, High Impulse and Le Chat to be the dominant ones over those horses who are a little bit more exposed in stronger form races on paper. So looking for the improvers. Just touching on the Oaks next week while we're here. Bonneval's the New Zealand Oaks winner. I'll go through replays for it next week. There's no real point here. Very dominant there. Very one-paced and strong type. Devises $11 chance in the same race. Ran second to Bonneval in the New Zealand Oaks. Not much between their runs there. Devise had to take off a little bit earlier, raced a little bit closer to the speed, and Bonneval ran it down and was pretty dominant over late, but not ridiculous, and they beat the rest very easily. So definitely, if you're entertaining one, you've got to entertain both. I'm looking to bet around this Nurse Kitchen, Harlow Gold, Montoya's Secret, Fox Play, Dawn Wall, Louboutin form. I'm just saying that it might be a bit average. There was a lot of carnage there the other day. There were 50 to 1 chances and things that should have been in the finish, favourites that failed, and it just looked disgusting to me. There wasn't too much merit in times and final sections or anything there to really show that there was big upside for any of the runners. Obviously Nurse Kitchen and Montoya's Secret were pretty dominant late over them. Harlow Gold got into the race nicely and whacked away okay, similar to Dawn Wall. So they're your four that ran probably best in that race, but still looking around them. And Lasketti Spirit has the weight for age form line, very hard to line up, but not knocking her either around that $11 mark. You might get a little bit better. It's just all about tactics for her on race day and trying to work out what's best for her. But again, you've got High Impulse, Le Chat and Mullover all around the 50 to 1 mark for the Oaks that are looking to qualify through the Adrian Knox this week and may represent the value around the Kiwi runners who do look to be major players as well. Quickly skipping through now, trying to get through it all. The Carbine Club. This horse, Eusebio, is just a very good horse for mine. It's $6 is good value for mine, I think, each way. I don't think Haydock will run. I think he's running in the Doncaster, so he's unlikely to go around here. Zenalicious is going to be 3 weeks between runs up to a mile. Mr. Sneaky has run down the Answer My Friend, who has good, on-pace form down in Melbourne on that track that was been suiting sort of on-pace inside. Still, runs along and tends to break a few horses' hearts, so he's going to be a decent player here, but a different sort of thing, travelling and coming to Randwick for his first time. I've just got a lot of time for this horse, Eusebio. He's only gone maiden to 65, but the way he sort of put them away last start, even though it was a good ride, he's back in the field here on the inside. Back third last. They walk in front. Good patient ride from Tommy Berry. Coming through the middle here in the white cap. But as soon as he sniffs a gap, and these aren't poor horses, he puts them away in 2 strides, and that's all I wanted to see. He's got really solid acceleration. The better the track, the more confident I'll be about his chances. And on an each way basis, I doubt that he's going to start anywhere near the 5-1 mark come race day. So 5-1 each way for me. Eusebio. The other horse that I thought was worth a quick look was Egg Tart. Just the way he put this field away. He obviously promised a lot in his first trip. Was put away for a quick preparation, a quick spell. And I just wanted to show sort of kind of what Egg Tart's back here last. It's a solid enough tempo, even tempo. So no real advantage either way. Be back or forward. Sitting in behind them, steers in behind, which is kind of weird. Very happy for James Innes that he got checked off heels here and sort of forced to the outside, because if he had been held up in there, he might have been in a bit of strife. When he sniffs a bit of daylight outside here, you can see he's still on one rein and picking them up without really any pressure or urging. He's a bit untapped, and he's around $15 and really like the way he stretched these horses easily, and then the gaps opened up behind. So it's probably the blowout around the $15 mark, Egg Tart, and one that can improve. But Eusebio for mine is the each way bet in that race. Widden Stakes, last race will cover. The horse I wanted to highlight was Sheikah. I really think, its old form back here, this Demerara form, is ridiculously fast time. Then it's obviously come out and got a little bit lost behind She Will Reign. Forgive effort there, comes back a different horse for mine and puts them away really comfortably here. So I'll show the turn. So she's just sat wide outside them. They've gone at like decent tempo here, so she's done all the work. And again, big gaps opening up behind. Relatively, ears pricked on the line. She looks like she's got improvement up her sleeve, and she's going to be strong. She's around the $8.50 mark. The other horses in the betting here, just having a quick look, are Almanzora and Elizo are both nom for the Percy Sykes next week. I doubt both of them will go there, so there's a fair 1-1, and one will go, probably one won't. Almanzora came out of the same day as other runners 2 weeks ago that has failed since the and now it goes here. Condor Heroes came out of the same day as Sheikah, not much different in time between them. I just think Condor's probably had a bit of a rougher prep. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve, and I think Sheikah's the one that's going to be bomb-proof. Property comes out of the Blue Diamond, where it had the run, sort of sprinted through, looked the winner, and really knocked up late, a bit weak. I'm not too scared of it. Explosive Witness was a really good debut winner over 1,000 metres at Moonee Valley. Now has to come to Randwick, up in trip and away from home, and different surface, different everything. It's going to be a bit of a test for it, but not one that I can put the line through. Its win was pretty solid. From within, similar to Condor's, just had nothing go right this preparation, and $11 is probably stretched, but I think Sheikah again each way around the $8. I think $8.50 is around at other places. Looks a really good bet, considering it looks certain to run, or it looks like it's planned to run and should run a good race. Did want to talk about the Percy Sykes next week in Serena Bay. It's a horse that I really think's targeted that race, and coming off a similar effort to Sheikah, just a really dominant performance. First up down at Goulburn the other day, and there's another race where you've got at the top of the market Almanzora. Look at it. Where is the Percy Sykes? Here it is. Almanzora. Frolic, I doubt will go there. It's got to be a big risk. Elize is coming off a really prep where they've tried to get straight into the slipper and then struggled to get there, and now have to back off and come to this race. Same thing as Limbo Soul down here. Tulips, got to be a big chance not to go there. Formality, another that's, got to be 50-50. There's a lot of horses that aren't going to go here. Sheikah runs this week. So Serena Bay, I think $13 is around the place. Looks an each way again. Horse for just a price. It's got to be half that price come race day, I'd say, with all being fair and equal between now and then. Just looks the one that's on the up. She looks like a colt. She's going to be hard to beat over the 1,200 metres here against fillies. And Gay Waterhouse Stable is just absolutely flying. So, quick recap of the prices. So the ones that I'm interested in this week, LeChat, $11. I can still entertain Mullover and High Impulse in that race. Eusebio each way in the Carbine looks really, really good bet. Probably the bet of the day for mine, and Sheikah's not far behind at $8.50 each way. The following week, coming into the Oaks, LeChat, Mullover, and even High Impulse, I think is about a similar price. Percy Sykes, Serena Bay, $13 each way. And the Arrowfield Sprint race I didn't get to touch on, but Glen All was just an enormous run in the Galaxy. If you get a chance to look at it, it was dragged out of the race. I was checked early, then dragged right back to last. Nothing made ground there, and it's come wide and run into fourth. It's probably the run of the day, and it's going to be hard to beat in the Arrowfield Sprint going forward. Really looks a nice race for him around the $11 mark. Thanks, guys.